Three, two, one, ready.
Ketchup, mayo!
Yeah.
Ketchup, mayo!
We were sitting in Kramatorsk in the rear restaurant. We just have dinner. We finished the dinner, and at that moment, 1 minute later, the rocket, Iskander rocket, comes into the restaurant.
Nee, ik heb het helemaal.
Weet je dat?
Helemaal. Geef iemand anders.
Had je dat pepertje gezien?
Nee.
Wij gaan niet die kant op.
And yeah.
13 people died.
Dat weet je niet, dat we daar even bij.
Waar hebben we de auto nou staan? We hebben het auto gezet.
When we tried to get out of the restaurant, and I was filming. On that video, you see no soldiers. And afterwards, we see on the Russian TV that the Russian TV showed video from 15 minutes later. And there you see a lot of soldiers. And then 15 minutes later, of course, there's a lot of soldiers because they come to help. And you see that video on Russian TV, and Russian TV says, look, there were many military, it was a military object. In the restaurant, there were, as far as we know, 1 military, and further it was civilians. The reason that we continued was actually what happened that day, because we saw that Russian propaganda makes it look different. And we said we want to show in the Netherlands and in Western Europe and to whole the world if possible, what is really going on. My name is Franky van Hintem. I'm from the Netherlands. I'm a volunteer, and I'm the half of Franky and Coen Into the Breach, and my colleague.
I'm Koen, the next volunteer from Holland. And yeah, we work together in Ukraine and help people in need.
My job in the Netherlands is actually, I have a small restaurant, or more like a cafe, where we sell fish and chips. And I have mobile restaurants with which I travel around.
I have also a little shop, a little restaurant, where I sell fast food items, and I do also electric work in buildings, houses.
Well, it started in March 22.
The Russian president says a military operation is now underway.
Because we saw on the television in February and March the people coming out of Ukraine tried to get to Poland and to Western Europe. And as I have a mobile restaurant, I decided that I wanted to go to the Polish-Ukrainian border to give away free fries. And then I called my friend, because we are longtime friends, Koen, and I asked him if he wanted to go with me. And he thought about it a few minutes, and I said yes, I'll come with you. And that's how we actually started at the Polish-Ukrainian border, by giving away French fries and snacks. But that was just the beginning.
Oh, good?
Здрасте.
Is it good?
Good.
Yeah.
after a while, because we were a little bit nervous going into Ukraine, because we never have been in a country where there's war, but some friends of us have been in Western Ukraine and giving away food, and they said, well, it's doable, you can go there. We started in Western Ukraine in Lviv area, then we went to Irpin, Bucha, Borodyanka, Gostomel, then we went to Kharkiv, Izum, and then we went to Sviatohirsk, and I think in the Donbass we were in nearly every village and city what you can imagine. But we also were in Kherson, Mykolaiv, in that area and several places. We were also in Zaporozhye and also in the Oblast Zaporozhye in several locations. In total, I think we visited more than 50 locations, and some locations we visited 5-6 times. So we've been there often. And when we went more into Ukraine, we decided that it's not only about the food. We felt that it's more about giving the people the feeling of the support. So the people in Ukraine feel that there's support from, in our case, from the Netherlands, because people in the Netherlands are strongly behind the Ukrainian people, and yeah, people in the Netherlands want to help. We didn't feel the fear, I think, when we started to give away fries. But we had a few moments of fear. Firstly, when we got bombed ourselves, we were in the Ria restaurant on 27th of June last year.
Bijna dood.
Koen, het is echt van mijn handen, van wie?
Nee, niks van niks. Ik heb geen voorstel.
Ja, ik kan helemaal.
And we were inside the restaurant when it got bombed, so yeah, that was very, very scary. 13 people died, many people got wounded. We also were slightly wounded. In that moment there was fear, and we felt fear later on when we did not only do the food projects, but we also do some evacuations, and we helped militaries in Avdiivka. We brought them drones, and yeah, there was, but not fear like we were really, really scared, but yes, it was, of course, there's war, and we were very, very near to zero. One time we were on an evacuation together with Dennis Christoph, Golandiec.
Все буде добре, правда, все буде добре.
And that was the first time that was really scary, because he took us to Nitailova for evacuation. And that was scary. Also on our way back, we met soldiers who picked up wounded people, and we saw a lot of scary things. We saw the leg coming out of the, I don't know how you call the tire of a tank. And we were near to zero. We heard the bombings. Yes, that's scary.
Uitzicht, want het is letterlijk zo. Hoor je hem?
Ja, ik kon continu erin
En dan
slaan.
daar is zijn velden en direct achter het veld de Russen.
Yeah, but
I know the country, and I know it is a big country, but I have no any knowledge about Ukraine. The only what I know, it was Russian speaking, the big part, but that's it. Just for me, it was a country I was never been.
I am Russian speaking because my wife is from Ukraine, from Kiev. And in the time when I first came to Ukraine, it was in 1992. And nearly all my contacts in Ukraine, in that area, spoke only Russian. So I had to learn Russian language. And it started with good morning, good afternoon, thank you. And it came naturally. I didn't study Russian language, but I can say everything in Russian, and I understand, I think, more than 90%.
Что він поліз туди?
Я вам очень хорошо понимаю.
Що він туди поліз?
So maybe you should say that I'm an easy target for Russian propaganda, because I understand the Russian propaganda, and we even watch some Russian TV to keep informed what Russian TV is telling people. But seeing with your own eyes always wins. And who knows, if I was living in some country and watching Russian TV without being in Ukraine, maybe I would have believed some of the stories. But I see it with my own eyes. I've seen the front area. I've spoken to so many people in Ukraine. I saw the people who lost relatives. I spoke with military, but we also spoke with people whose houses got bombed.
Вы там не нравится, мы вам поможем, как вы хотите. Посмотрите там.
Ну, спасибо.
Будем?
Спасибо, да, да.
Хорошо. Хорошо?
Спасибо, хорошо.
Тогда...
Спасибо, Боже, я не знала, что такие люди.
I think that 95% of the people in the Netherlands are behind Ukraine. Then there is 3% who maybe don't know, and 2% who follow the Russian propaganda. But the bad thing is that this 2% of people who follow the Russian propaganda, they are very loud on social media. Because I don't know why, but they really want to show the information what they hear from Russian side. Some people just don't know. They read something or they see something and they believe it. But there's a lot of mean people in this 2% who really want to tell here that the story is different than it really is. For me, it's very easy, very clear. The war is on Ukrainian territory. Ukraine cannot be wrong. Ukraine got attacked by Russians, and the Russians are misbehaving, and they are killing people, innocent people, a lot of civilians. It's very clear. We saw it with our own eyes. When we go to Mirnograd, or when we went to Selidova, Netailova, all in Donbass, we see how Russian people destroy everything what they can.
Ja, zonde. En ook op dit moment wordt de stad beschoten, want die wordt continu beschoten. Aan de andere kant van de rivier zitten de Russen.
Wat ze vernietigen, vuilakken.
We rijden nog steeds achter onze begeleiding aan. Weer een blokpost.
I don't know if there's people in the Netherlands who follow the propaganda and who place more propaganda on social media, if they get supported by Russia financially or if they get something out of it. But they are extremely active. And they also write very often completely nonsense. Because even on locations where we have been, or for example the attack in Kramatorsk, we were there, we know everything about that day. Sometimes people write things which are completely nonsense and they have to get it from some way. And they need to have a reason to write it. So maybe they get something out of it financially, or I don't know. It is propaganda, that's for sure. I cannot imagine that people really think like this.
Умирали?
No worry.
If the social media power from Ukrainian side would be as strong as from Russian side, I think many more people here in the Western world would even stand behind Ukraine, because Ukraine is showing what's happening, but they are not as much using social media here than what the Russian side does. And that might, people who are easy to influence, or people who believe easy something what somebody tells, they can follow the opinion from what they see on the internet. They see it very often as fact. Ukraine is not so active.
Glorie aan de helden.
Een weggetje.
If I look at social media and I see the imaging from Ukraine, it's almost always military. They hit this or hit that or that. But show the country, has showed how the people are. I think that's also the part they're missing. You see a little bit, but they see more armored vehicles or that sort of things, but not the helping part. What is going on with helping people?
Hier zijn ze al wrakken aan het weghalen.
Yeah, the life of the civilians, to show that here, and the numbers, because we see here in the Western media, we see, for example, if a flat is attacked, if civilian people died, but that there are dying more than maybe 1,000 people every day from both sides, maybe sometimes 2,000 on one day. I think a lot of people don't know that here. They don't know that what they see in the news, that's not the front area. That is when something happens tomorrow in Lviv, and 2 people die, it's going to be maybe big news. But that today there died 100 people around Pokrovsk, it's not even in the news.
Or how many people still in little villages, they cannot move. And they die. That's a thing that here they don't know.
Серьезно? Правда, надо уезжать. Потому что тут не будет хорошо. А мы видели уже в разных местах, как получится, если не уезжаете.
The people think there's war in my village or in my city, you go out. But how many people have not the money, not resources, don't know where to go in Ukraine to move, and still are in that village.
Хай дає Бог вам здоров'я, що ви заботитеся таких, як я. Спасибо вам. Хай Бог вам допомагає, щасливий вам.
We opened, about half a year ago, we opened our own shelter in Dnipro. And for the shelter, we get people who come from mostly from Donbass, who cannot flew themselves out of this area. This is people who waited too long, and they are living in locations where it's bombed every day. These people we take to our shelters. Sometimes they be evacuated by other people. Sometimes we evacuate ourselves from the front area. And these people, the stories that these people can tell, if these stories come in view here, this will do a lot. Because then people see how hard is the life at the front. Then they see that bombing is there every day, people dying every day, civilian people. We have an older woman in our shelter. Her son was hit by a drone when he was just on a bicycle to get water, and just was with the bike going from taking the water back home, and was attacked by a drone. People here don't see that, and we see it when we show our videos. Sometimes we have events and we show our videos. All the people in the hall are crying and are very emotional when they see what's really happening there. This we don't see under the Western TV. Western TV also don't want to show the blood too much. Sometimes I'm thinking about why did Russia attack Ukraine? And I'm not sure if it's the non-realistic view of one big person, or is it that they really thought it's just an easy target, because in the beginning they thought in 3 days they will maybe get to Kiev and get the whole country. Whatever is the reason, it's not realistically, and it's terrible, it's unfair, and it's extremely aggressive. I don't think that even if Russia would have won the war and would have captured Ukraine, what is it worth if you have a country with people who don't want to be with you? What is it worth if you have a country, if you have a lot of ground, a lot of territory, but the people there hate you? So anyway, I can't follow the reason, and whatever the reason they had in mind, it was just stupidity.
I agree a lot with what Frank says, and yeah, it is what they say about NATO. There's one part what's in my back of my mind that there can be a reason, but I think the oil in the ground, the sources in the Donbass in the ground, may be a reason to do it. And the reason what Putin says about Ukraine or Nazis or something, I don't see it, I don't feel it, I don't see that reason from that side. Completely no.
Discussie te maken, wie is eerst, ik ben eerst.
No, it's very unrealistic. I'm in Ukraine since 1992. I never met anybody who I feel is a Nazi. And what Russia is doing in Ukraine, it's typical Nazi system. They try to kill as many as possible people. And I did a lot of chat roulette with Russian-speaking people just to see their opinions. And then I sometimes speak to Russian people who say, you have to kill all them Nazis, even the children. That is typical Nazi idea. So it's very strange and stupid to stand behind using the Nazi idea as this is your opposite party which you're fighting with is Nazi, but doing yourself completely Nazi system. It's very strange.
Yeah, stop the war. Ukraine needs more ammunition, more weapons. And I think also if the Russian people in Russia put more pressure on the government, and that way they can be stopped. There are, I would say that if a lot of people stand up, and not 1,000, but a lot of people, I think then it can be stopped the war in Ukraine.
Many people in the Western world think that war will be stopped when you don't give weapons. But that's not realistic, because if you want to stop the war and you give no more weapons to Ukraine, it doesn't mean that the war stops. It just means that Ukraine got no chance to defend himself, and there will die more people, and the whole of the country will be taken by the aggressor. So the Western world should have given already earlier more weapons to Ukraine, but it's not too late. Yes, it's too late for many people. Many people already died. But by giving more weapons to Ukraine, they can just kick out the enemy. That's the only way. And on the end of the story, of course, they have to talk at the table. It will be decided the end of the war. Of course, on the end, the war will be stopped only when there's a peace talk at the table. But it's true what my colleague Koen says. If in Russia people just stand up against the president over there, altogether they can win it. I will never forget a small child. It was a girl, maybe 10 years old. She was at our stand together with her, I think, mama and her grandmother. And she was looking like empty, really sad. And I asked her, do you want French fries? And she still wasn't happy. But then I asked her, do you want ketchup on your fries? And I don't know why, but she started to be happy. We give her French fries with the ketchup. We give her some good big lollipops. I know that this girl will never forget this day. Even when she's 70 years old, she will tell her children, her grandchildren, about these two big people working in Ukraine giving out fries. This I will never forget. Or that we evacuated a family with a 12-year-old girl from Mirnograd when the bombs were falling in their street.
Тут хоть Доброполе, оно недалеко. Можно приезжать сюда.
And firstly, the grandmother didn't want to go, and she kept pushing there. Oh, no, we stay here, we stay here. But in the end, we succeeded to take them away.
Но сегодня мы в Днепро, а завтра, послезавтра, куда вы хотите?
в Днепро везут.
Не хочу я в Днепро, понимаете?
Остаемся дома.
Женщина, у вас есть дочь.
Нет,
Послушайте,
я
пожалуйста.
понимаю, я в Доброполе еду, и все.
Будем.
В Днепро я не поеду.
This gives an extremely good feeling that we took away a 12-year-old girl out of the war. Well, she's still in the war, she's still in Ukraine, but out of the really very dangerous locations. This gives an extremely good feeling. And if I give away fries in my little restaurant here in the Netherlands, people are happy. But it's not comparable with giving 2,000 people on one day fries and snacks for free and give these people, it's not against the hunger, but just to give the feeling that they have support, and you see the smiles. Yes,
And the thumb up, like this, thumbs up and smiling. There was one old man, we have always a little paper where we said who we are and where we come from. And one old man was reading that, and he asked him, are you really from? Yes. And he starts crying. Yeah, then you get goosebumps all over your body, just that little moment.
But sometimes it's extremely sad. I will never forget, we were frying fries somewhere in Western Ukraine, and we were talking with somebody that we were going to Kramatorsk. And then a little boy came up to me and he asked, I've heard you go to Kharkiv. Yes, we're going to Kharkiv tomorrow. And he asked, can you try to find my papa? Because my papa is in the army and he is been missing in Kharkiv. can you try to find him? So sometimes it's extremely sad and you don't know what to say to this boy because you know that his father has been fighting there and there's no chance that you will find his father. So there's some very, very hard moments, but there's also some really, really good feeling moments when something succeeds. Yes, we get something out of that ourselves as well.
How friendly the most people are. Most people are very friendly. If they are at our trailer, and there's always happiness and appreciation about that we are there, that we're helping, giving fries, snacks, and be there. And there's not one place that gets bad words to me, always friendly and nice. That's the first thing I will tell the people. And the next one, how beautiful the country is. We drive everywhere, from north to south, to east, to west side, and everywhere it is different and beautiful.
I think also Ukrainian people are very brave. And I don't know if they are brave from themselves, like before the war, or they are brave because of the war, because they have to be brave now. But we see that they are brave, they are strong, they know what they do and they do it powerful. They're really fighting for the country, they're fighting for the freedom. But they're not only fighting for Ukraine, they're also fighting for us. Maybe some people here forget that, and it's unfair to the people in Ukraine, but they are defending us. They are between us and the aggressor, and they do it very strongly and very well.
Героям слава!